What's going on, trading world? In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to scalp on the 5-minute time frame. Now, apart from my main strategy, this is something that I use on a weekly basis. This is probably the reason why I've passed so many challenges, and using this 5-minute scalping method, I've made tons of money. This 5-minute entry strategy is great for passing challenges and growing small accounts. I use this strategy in conjunction with my main strategy. So this is basically trading supply and demand on the 5-minute time frame, but I'm going to show you guys from A to Z in this video how you can follow right along and get some amazing trades. Now, without wasting any more time, let's just jump into the computer and let's get going. Grab it in my computer. Now, before we start this video, man, please take 1 second to like the video and consider subscribing if you haven't already. It really helps out the channel. We're just going to cover 4 of the main sort of confluences that you need to add, and then I'll show you guys how the entries work. But yeah, this is basically a great strategy. I use it in conjunction with my main strategy. That's something you're interested in learning about. We have over 100 funded students in trading LP. Links are in the description. But okay, so let's get started. All right, some of the confluences that I'll put up on the screen that are required for this strategy to work. This is not something that you want to be entering all the time. All right, I understand scalping, you know, people want a bunch of trades every single day, but listen, if you keep doing that, the probabilities of you making money just go lower and lower. It's better to wait for a lower time frame entry, but wait for the right confirmation, if that makes any sense. Okay, rule number 1 of this scalping strategy is that we must identify the trend on a higher time frame. So as you can see over here right now in Euro CHF, it's a clean downtrend. Like there's no question of if it is, maybe it's not, is it reversing? No, it's not. Like it's a clean cut downtrend. Number 1, that has to be determined. It could also be a reversal that's playing out, but you need to see some clear break of structures like this to know that, okay, we are headed for sure down. Okay, so you need to look at the higher time frames first. Second thing is identify the sentiment. You don't really have to do this, but I always do this. I like doing this. It's something that works for me. So that's like using the sentiment tool. If you haven't watched the video, I have a video on YouTube explaining that as well. So you're just gonna have, like, I'm not gonna explain it here, but for the people that know, you know, you make sure the sentiment is on your side. So like you're doing what majority of retail traders are not doing. You're going against them. You're going, you know, targeting liquidity. So and then you need to pick a higher time frame zone that you're going to be dropping off of, right? So just because we're entering on the 5-minute, the benefit of entering off a 5-minute time frame and the scalp is that you get a higher risk to reward. You get like the win rate can be good if you are identifying the correct times to enter. So if you're catching the pullback on the supply or demand when the move is happening, like the win rate just goes insane. My normal strategy, I would say the win rate is maybe like 50% with a risk to reward of 2 to 3R. But when I do this scalping strategy correctly in conjunction with my strategy, so my strategy still makes me the majority of my money, my win rate usually goes up to like 70% with this, but I always enter very rarely, maybe 2-3 times a week, and I always make sure that we've hit a higher time frame zone and we're already headed in my direction. I have my first entry. So let's see if we can find some examples to do this. So I trade supply and demand. You can use it as off support and resistance. That's still the same example. You know, we still kind of trade the same way. It's still the downtrend. This is still a zone. I just draw them on more sort of like this as a supply zone. So let's go back to here. Okay. So this would have been your main zone that you would have taken your first entry off of, like your main entry, right? And even right now, you can see there's also liquidity sitting down below. That's a good sign. Again, no need to overcomplicate this. I'm just trying to explain to you the 5-minute entry part, so you can go and do this in the live markets. All right. Zone has to be drawn on the higher time frames: 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour, something like that. Okay. So you have a strong zone, so you know that there's a strong push potentially coming down, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna capitalize on your 5-minute entry, because that's gonna give you the best risk to reward. There's a better probability the trade is gonna go in the direction that you intend on it going. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna slowly work our way down to the 5-minute time frame, right? I already took a look at this. Now here's maybe write this down or come back and watch this later. If you cannot identify something on the 5-minute, best trick here that I do is I just go to the 3-minute. I don't go lower. Sometimes I'll go to the 1-minute, but we're just gonna go one step lower every now and then. The entry's still gonna be off the 5-minute, but for the zone, you could do 5-minute. If you really feel that this move is gonna happen towards your direction, try the 3 minute and see if there's anything there. All right, so there's like a little mini supply zone up in this area. Now that you've identified the supply area and there's really only one main supply area, this could be it as well, but there's probably a higher probability chance that we're going to tap this and drop. You're going to go back to your 5 minute. It's going to let it enter into your area, which it did here. Let one candle sort of push into the zone. Let the second candle sort of be sort of a rejection, in this case a bearish candle. Let that candle close, and when the third candle breaks the low of this candle, which happened right there, enter the trade. Stop loss obviously right above there. You can do something like, honestly, with these 5 minute entries, the minimum you should be doing is a 1 to 4, and it should really have no problem hitting that, right? Majority of the time you'll get, as long as you're bouncing off of a higher time frame zone, you have the direction correct, sentiment is on your side, you get a supply zone on the 3 minute or 5 minute like this, 1 to 4 usually is not a big deal. You could probably even go like bigger. I'm sure this one went close to that, so look, like, I mean, that was, yeah, whatever, 6R. All right, like, damn, you could those trades and you only need 2% more to pass my forex funds. All right, that's literally my secret to passing challenges. I'll be honest with you. It's taking my main entries for my main strategy, which we put a lot of effort into. So many different things that we discuss in the trading LP strategy. We have our A+ setup, all that stuff. This is just like 1% of what we do, and that's why we have the most funded traders in the game. And yeah, man, I've just been smashing challenges. So let's see if we can take another example. So I'm showing some bearish examples. We'll see if we can find like a bullish example as well. All right, so this is now again another euro pair. Very clear direction on the 4-hour. You can see downtrend. There's no questions about that. Go to the 2-hour and go to the 1 hour. Now again, I don't know how you trade. You may trade support and resistance. If you trade support and resistance there, that's support. If you trade supply and demand like we do, that's demand right there, or sorry, supply right there. So we've tapped into a major higher time frame zone. Boom, done. Now we're trying to capitalize on the fact that we know we're going to push all the way down. We just want an entry off a supply of 5 minutes so we can get a big risk to reward. All you need is one trade. One of these once a week is all you need. Really, if you can find one of these once a week and you have a funded account with, let's say, 100K, you can get some nice payouts, man. Like, you could really be doing this for a living. It's just having the patience and having sort of some of that stuff to actually do this is sort of the hard part. But that just comes with hard work and putting the work in, right? So let's look at this as a proper example. So when this thing was dropping down, right, you see this drop, what I would have actually done is I would have probably put my supply up in here, but then we didn't really, and then I would have expected this to just come up there, but we didn't really get that. We kind of pushed for way further down. So every time that happens, I kind of lower my supply every time, just by 1. And then I obviously look at the entry criteria, right? We're not just entering off of the supply. We have to see, is there the candle push into the zone? Yes. Was there a rejection candle? Yes. This is what we call the 3-pin pattern in our program. And this is a crazy pattern, man. Like, people have just been murdering it with this situation. And so you even have a component with the 50 EMA. Not that I really even use it, but this is another example. So you would enter off, so the rejection candle, let it print, and you enter off the break right there, and then now you have two choices. Do you either be safe and put your stop loss above there if you really want to do a 1 to 2, 1 to 3 with safe, but your win rate's going to be like really high, 80%, maybe even higher. You start using safer stop losses. But if you trust that, you know, we are in the push and you tap the right supply, like I would 100% trust this. I would even maybe go up to the 15 minute just to do a confirmation, but a stop loss above there can be fine. And really, like I said, you should be targeting a 1 to 4, which, and this is within minutes, like within minutes, no hours, like 2 hours, whatever, quick. And then if you leave a runner or something, like, you know, I've had instances where I've gotten out at a 1 to 3. That's really all I really want for my scale-ins. But I've had instances where they've ran 10, 20 R, like they just keep going. So, but I'm not that patient, right? I'm not that patient. So that's kind of the strategy. Let's see if we can find a bullish scenario. You know, I don't want to take this video too long. I don't want to make it way too long and make it overcomplicated. But basically, in a bullish scenario, let's identify a higher time frame first. So bullish scenario would be something like this. We're here, kind of going back way too far, but let me see if I can do it. Okay, so this would be a bullish scenario here. This would be your demand area down here, demand slash, you know, support, whatever you want to call it. Then you're going lower on the time frames, lower on the time frames, lower on the time frames, keep going left. You have your main entry. Any sort of impulse move that broke even the slightest bit of structure on the 5 minute, you can use it as an entry. Now, I wouldn't take this little move here because we haven't sort of above yet, right? We haven't really pushed above yet. So there's two that I see right away, right? One right here. So it's not very clean, but what you can do here is you can kind of came down. There's not a lot of really clean rejections. You can wait for this candle to get broken and then enter. You want to be safer and have an even higher win rate, you can wait for this candle to get broken up there. Either way, even if you entered on the safer entry, still gotten, you know, a 1 to 3 if you had entered on the little bit more of a riskier entry. And then you see the pause in here. So I understand not everybody may understand this very well. You need to know supply and demand a little bit to understand this, or support and resistance. We are just, you know, the zone was that this was the higher time frame zone right here, the blue. Anytime during this push up, we can still look for lower time frame zone. So this is sort of like a demand area up in here. And we came back, did the rejection, broke that candle. If you want to be safer, wait for the next candle to be broken, and boom. There's huge risk rewards in this, man. Like, all you really, if you need to go back and watch this video again, I would highly suggest it. If you want to learn this more in detail, more in depth about supply demand, how we trade, this is like just 1% of our strategy. Join the Trading LP community. We usually do intake on the first of every single month. We have over 100 funded students. Yeah, man, this is just a small part of how we scale in, but it's really more about understanding the main strategy and main confluences first. You may be somebody who already knows a lot about trading and you already know price action. So for the people that do, like, you're gonna pick up on this like right away, right? If you're somebody who doesn't know too much about it, then you might have a little bit of struggle with understanding what I'm trying to say, and that's where you need to kind of you know, get better at price action, supply and demand, and kind of be either part of a community or join a good program where you can learn. Then once you have the right knowledge, this becomes a piece of cake, honestly. This is where the money, this is how you pass all the challenges. This is how you smash 200Ks. This is how you get interviewed by FTMO. This is literally it. When I got interviewed by FTMO, I had a break and retest strategy and I had a demand strategy that I was using on EU. If you go back and watch my interview, I explained exactly this part where I was drawing demand on a 5-minute time frame on EU. Go back and watch my FTMO interview. It's in there. And I made 30K in 1 month. So it is what it is, man. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. We're going to be dropping lots more content, and follow me on Instagram.